Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Big Mouff Media podcast, where we dedicate this podcast to the entertainment industry, to the people that's shaking and moving, the heavy hitters, and people who've proven the naysayers wrong. So, man, we gonna tap in with a very, very special guest tonight from the West Coast, none other than Mr. Charlie Muscle. What's good, man?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing well, man, doing well. So, man, so glad to have you, man, representing Sacktown, man. So, tell me about the music scene, the entertainment scene, the hip hop scene in Sacramento, California.
To be honest, it's a dwindling market right now, and it's a struggling and surviving market. We took a lot of hits. A lot of people have been seeing the gun violence, the gang violence, all of the news that kind of just spread the word across the nation about Sacramento, and it's never really in a good light. So it's always on us as the independent artists and artists in general to kind of shed and paint a different picture, if you will. So our scene itself has been kind of being attacked at in the smallest cases, but we've been struggling to keep it afloat. And it is a thriving market, but it does need the people.
Right. So, for the world, I formally introduced you, but for the world and for people that really, really want to know, man, who is Charlie Muscle?
Oh, well, my name is Charlie Muscle, born and raised in Sacramento, California. Started my rap career, I would say about 16 years old, but my musical journey started as a baby. Mom and pop had me reciting Michael Jackson songs on the fireplace in front of friends and family. So kind of kicked off my influences that way. Few family members passed away throughout my journey. Um, just kind of build my craft around all of the negative that surrounds my life. I've not really had the most positive experiences. However, I know that there's some people out there that's had it worse than me. I just took it upon myself to just enlighten my situation a little bit more and highlight what I'm going through to hopefully bring somebody out of it. Basically, pull my actual emotional side to a more artistic view for anybody who actually can pay attention to that or listen, if you will, to the songs that are created through that endeavor.
Okay. So when you say bring your emotional side out now, that's interesting for a masculine male to say that that works on a craft that is the art form to engage with a target market audience. And
Absolutely.
so when you say to bring your emotional side out through your craft, go a little bit deeper in that for me so people would definitely understand because so many males that's artists they hide their emotions away from their craft.
Absolutely, and I agree. That's mainly where I've been at is watching our generation and our genre continuously play this masculine role, like having your emotional side is almost a faux pas, or it is this gigantic negative that we can't allow. And so, for us to be able to create our own music and our own endeavors, and I'm sure there's several artists that will agree with me with saying this, that with sitting in those studios and sitting behind those notebooks and sitting behind your notepads, coming up with your lyrics and coming up to tell your story, it brings you to an emotional side, whether you be angry, whether it be sad, whether it be happy, whether it be grief, whether it be joy. You have to go through those steps. But as masculine artists, again, we're told we can't showcase that. So for myself, I've taken the accord to try to curate my songs around those emotions exactly. Whatever I'm feeling in the moment, kind of talk about it. Maybe my experiences with death, maybe my experiences with relationships, just random people, restaurants, you know what I mean, school, talking about my children. It all is a form of therapy. And that form of therapy, whether a lot of people believe it or not, it is very much so relieving for the mental health for the masculine side, due to the fact that we really don't feel that we have a lot of people to talk to.
Right. Okay. So back to this music craft. So you came from a family of musical inclined people, and with that being said, when did you know that you had something special? Was it before you went to the booth to record your very first single, or was it during freestyle battles in school?
Sheesh, that would have to even go further out. I still had doubts in my own craft and in my own abilities up until the point in time of doing the ciphers for the Team Backpack platform. And at that point, I was already like 22 to 24. You know, what I mean, just being in San Francisco, taking these bus trips and really getting to a different area with different musical crafts and different musical geniuses that were cultivating their artwork the same as myself. It took for me to make that gigantic leap to honestly get it more serious and attack at my craft to make it a career rather than it being just something that I'm good at, you know.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but with that, it also came in those endeavors to where at that time, of course, I was already a father, first time parent, had my son, so that was also another factor of keeping me serious, was just parenthood in general, changing my life around, doing something different, telling my story and being more emotional, letting that door of emotion be open by creating that lane for anybody who listens. But yeah, I would have to say it was about 22, 23 that I really started taking my craft serious and
Mhm.
kicked everything into gear. Went and did a little change on my writing platforms, did a little more change on my releases, talked to a few more people, shaking hands, networking, really got out there and took the chance that I could.
Okay, so you mentioned Team Backpack, and a lot of people don't remember, when Team Backpack was out there, that was a huge deal. And so,
Correct.
how did you acquire the attention of Team Backpack?
I had actually gone on to YouTube and seen there was a few artists that I was being introduced to by a few friends. At the time, it was a dude by the name of Young Mar, Mob's Jedi, Shark Sinatra, and Catalyst Bars. Everybody's kind of familiar with Catalyst. He's more of the veteran in the platform. But I had gotten hooked on their ciphers and listening more into their music and realized after looking at at what they do and how it's being promoted, they had open auditions. They allow people to come in, do your thing, spit your 16s. You might get chosen to do a cipher with us later on down the line, kind of thing. But it was more so just to acquire a knowledge that there was a bigger market for the underground artists. Let us know we had a platform. And so
Mhm.
I entered into the contest. I dropped at that point 3 different entries and figured, one of these got to stick at one point or another. They at least going to allow me to come out and do my thing, showcase myself. In which they did. They allowed me to come out and invited me out to San Francisco and do my cipher draft is what they called it at that point. It was 32 artists, and we would line up like America's Got Talent in groups of 4 and do our ciphers, and then the ciphers would get voted on. They dwindle it down to basically a 4-man cipher out of the 32, and whoever got picked for that top 4 cipher, that's who would ever have, got a chance to record that cipher and be released through YouTube. Um, that was 2010 when I did my first one, and I didn't
Mhm.
get selected until 2014. So I had gone through multitudes of practice, just practice, sitting over bars, going over counts, going over my mic compositions, how to hold the microphone was the most key importance because I was very unseasoned at the time. But I got through all of that practice to get to 2014, and that's when I did my final audition for Team Backpack, and they welcomed me onto the platform, which was the year prior to me doing that cipher that came out worldwide.
Interesting, man. Interesting, man. A lot of late nights, a lot of grind, a lot of hard work, a lot of
Absolutely.
getting your voice right. So, upon that, man, how did that impact your career?
It heavily impacted my career. It was more so than just an opportunity for me to take a trip and get more familiar with what their platform did and how it opened the doors. It was an opportunity, the way I feel, to showcase to the world who I am, even in the smallest case. It opened a bigger door and a bigger avenue for more than Charlie Muscle, but for the Sacramento, California region. And the way that I prospectively looked at that at the time, it was like mind blowing. Even a lot of people looked at it as, you being too humble. You shouldn't be as humble about this as you are. But it was mind blowing to me that something of me sitting and putting all my effort, all my work, all that practice, it came to fruition to where it opened the eyes of a lot of people who would have never seen me. I had gotten messages from Eddie Griffin, the comedian. I got messages and shows from people that I wouldn't have believed that I'd even jump on. I went to a place called Rhyme Fest LA and got a chance to do a cipher with Jaron Benton and De Niro Ferrar. We had fun. We had fun that night, you know what I mean? But to turn around and see that my face is on the Jumbotron, that everybody's performing on that stage because of this cipher that opened that door, was mind blowing. De La Soul was there. Eli and Grouch was there. We had Denzel Porter came out from New York as well and enjoyed that cipher with us. It was a nice hip hop event culture. And it was, again, it was a big opportunity that blew my mind. I never realized that would open the door like it did for me. So instead of pressing on the gas and moving forward as any other artists have done, when that door is open to them, I took my time, and I'm still taking my time. I'm basking in that moment. I'm enjoying exactly what it did, and I'm learning for myself what I can do to create for myself, not to ride that wave, but to create my own.
Right. And so when you speak of Jared Benton, you speak of Hobson, you speak of that whole camp, man, you know, like, for people who don't remember how they was crushing the industry at that time, man, like, these guys was like serious with it, bro, serious with it. And so for you to actually be in their presence, actually to be vibing with them, man, I know that said a whole lot to you as a artist, as a creator,
Yeah,
you know, of a lane, and as you represent Sacramento, California, so that kind of spoke volumes to you, correct?
absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of people didn't recognize until maybe 3 or 4 years following we had Mozzie doing his thing and pushing his music and doing his lane. But that's when the world first seen him. Sacramento had seen him for almost 10 and 15 years doing his thing prior. And it was a hard grind for him to get where he needed to be. So to actually get some chance to shine a little bit more light on Sacramento in a different way, or introduce people to people they never believed. And I'm thankful for that opportunity, more so because it got me to be more humble about my situation. It showed me more humility, is a little bit better cultured and better natured for the man who's fighting for a sensitive side, or at least to explain more emotional capture.
Okay. And so with that being said, man, Sacramento has legends that don't get talked about.
Correct.
And for you, man, is there a possibility, man, that you are partnering up with the legends, maybe to do a feature or being on tour with them, or have you already been on tour and that showed with some of those legends from Sacramento?
I've done a collaboration with Brother Lynch Hung, worked around him, done some shows with him. Good dude, very kind-hearted dude. I know of T Nutty, Sebo. You know, we've got our list of the greats and who we personally feel are our top tens. You know what I mean? Unfortunate for us, and rest in peace to him. Big homie Doey Rock passed away a couple years ago. So I feel like I missed an opportunity with a great man and a great MC that opened more doors than myself, to be able to kind of kick that same nature of what you asking if there's going to be anything with the greats. I always said the same thing that I said back then that I'm going to say now. Only time will tell. Honestly, it's not in my hands. It's in the hands of the higher powers. I have no problem working with my greats and with the legends of Sacramento. But the way that I've kind of been treated throughout the endeavorment and the endurance of this process is I'm not in any rush to showcase myself at their doorstep. You know, we know now what I do. We know how well I can do it. I just got to continuously work at it to make myself better and more known for it. However, in that time, I won't restrict myself or them from doing any work. My door is always open, and so is my inbox. We can always kick some lines, you know, make a great hit. But I will not sell myself short for the fact and sake that somebody feels that they are a legend. Because no offense, I've been called the same.
Okay. But you know, in the hip hop industry, a lot of people feel that it's sort of like how like Mano paid homage to Rakim, and
Correct.
they did a feature together. So I think that you know a lot more doors would open if the two generations mesh together. You know what I mean?
Agree.
I
I agree
think
with that.
right. I think that's a great thing for the culture, and I think that that's a way that we can get the culture back on top like it once was.
Right.
Cause a lot of what a lot of younger cats don't understand, man. But a lot of the older cats are open to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cause you got cats who ain't made music in 20 years and still get 30K a show. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
so I think it can be a common ground where some greatness could happen. That's why I asked
Absolutely.
you that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Again, my door is always open to them, and so are my box for ideas. I'm willing to work with almost anybody creatively. I feel like ego and politics have played a big part in the Sacramento culture and the music culture the
Hmm.
last 5 years, for example. With just most of what people can dictate and what they know about Sacramento is usually gang violence. We are a lot more than our gang violence. Even
Right.
myself, I've talked about it in my music, and I
Hmm.
try to not stick to the subject of how much we were raised or where we were raised or what we're affiliated with. I try not to stick to the subjects because of the fact that we're way more than that. We got a bigger light to shine. We got a small microscope on us right now. And the more that we produce, the more that we create, and the more of our story that we can tell, the more it can help the people understand who we are. And so by doing that same nature, doing a collaboration effort, I got a compilation right now that's open for any artist from the Sac region or the Bay Area or LA. If you can make it to Sacramento, $250. I normally charge $1,000 per my verses, but 250 bucks will get them a music video, get them a photo shoot. It'll get them a collaboration with me. I put it out. We get some proceeds to go to you, percentages as far as royalties. That whole lane is open right now, but my door is very quiet, if that makes any sense.
It does. It
So
does. It does. I feel you.
I'm not rushing them. I'm not asking them. I'm not going to beg them. But the opportunity is there where I'm making the lane open for everybody. And if you don't want to take advantage, it's no harm, no foul. But at the same time, I understand as well. You know what I mean? It's just the continuation of being able to work, tell my story, and open these lanes for everybody else who may not have that same opportunity.
Okay. That's dope. That's pretty dope right there, man. That's different. And so
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna say I was listening to a track by you today, man. You was talking about some real deep stuff. You was talking about mental slavery, all type of stuff on this track, man. I can't really think of the name of the track, but I was like, whoa. So it's more than to Charlie Muscle than what people think. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
it really reminded me of some Nipsey Hussle type shit. Like real
Right
talk.
on. Right on. I
Yeah.
appreciate that, man. That's deep. That's deep.
Yeah,
Word.
man. I was like, man, cause Nip used to always talk about the intellectual presence of the mind and how we can be disbarred mentally because we put our mind in a cage. And so, man,
Absolutely.
like you was talking about some real deep stuff, man, and I was like, wow, man, and so when you get deep on your records, man, how does that register with the whole Sacramento area, man? Like does the Sacramento metropolitan area understand where you're coming from? Because putting that out there, that says that you're a different type of breed.
Correct. The response that I usually get from just the Sacramento area is very quiet. It's 50-50. You can get some people who are more so toward and generated. I love this. This opened and spoke to me. This tells a story. This binds with me. And then you've got some people who are like, I don't know. I'm just here to listen to the beats. So it's 50-50 on what accord and what cause comes out of it. But I pay more attention to those who resonate with it a little bit better. because
Right,
when they
right,
resonate a little bit better, I start to understand that me speaking on these subjects of vulnerability, like my mental health, going through personal issues, talking about my stresses, the mental capabilities that I lack, the things that I feel like are my red flags and my hurdles in my life and burdens, that I carry. Just hearing somebody say, I felt that is enough, not only for me to say that I'm doing a good job, but it's also good for me to hear from them, because that might have been the only time they talked to somebody about their issues, and the only way that they could is just by saying that I felt that. you know that option, that door itself of being able to speak about how you feel and relieve yourself of how you feel at any given time. I really feel like that is a great way for me to create what music I have. And from what I've put out so far, Sac doesn't really respond well to my depression tracks or my mental health tracks really well. I see it curating more toward my hype tracks, my smoke tracks. Let's have fun, because that's what our city is turning into. We starting to get more of the party crowds, the festivals, everything's starting to be more lively. So they want me to make more upbeat and lively music. However, I still will always create and curate my story through my depression music, and what I feel is my vulnerability, my soft side. So that way I can always share that platform of equality and balance.
right. So I'm glad you spoke about mental health, depression, anxiety, all the above, man. So I was looking at an interview, and it was the rapper Big Sean, and they was like, well, why did you take 2 years off? He said, cause mentally and emotionally and spiritually I had to. And they asked him why. It was like, because he said the struggles of the music industry when you're an artist can really make you a emotionally distant, and it can make you mentally depressed. And and
Absolutely.
so and so with you being in this music industry for throughout, what do you feel about that statement he made?
He's 100% correct. It will mentally drain you. It will deprive you of family, deprives you of sleep. It deprives you of the process of happiness, thinking correctly, thinking straight. What most people, as far as us artists, we call writer's block or mental blocks. You experience that almost every day. The feeling of wanting to give up and quit, that's repetitive and consistent. Being your worst critic, telling yourself the worst things in the world, so that way it's a protection. You can kind of shield yourself from anything that anybody else has to say or feel about you at that moment, because you've already heard the worst. You know what I mean? These are the things we do to ourselves, or that we go through in slight cases and endure, just to be able to say, I made a piece of art. I put that piece of art out for people to listen, and people actually listened. It generated a response. It's making revenue for me to where I can live off of my art. It's a big deal for us. So when hearing somebody as far as like Big Sean or Nip or E40 or anybody of the higher calibers, I've even at times heard Ice Cube in the early 2000 interviews speaking on mental health and how important it was at that point for curating the doorway for not just the black man, but for every man. We got to have a platform to be able to speak on our masculinity, speak on our issues. And if it's through, listening to somebody like Ice Cube call women bitches, no offense, but that's what people do. So with this statement from Big Sean, it's in a sense also a leading statement, where you have other artists who have listened to that same interview and have taken the lead to open up their emotional side and talk more about their mental health and talk about what they endure every day, just because this is a form of therapy. And that statement made a huge crash in the industry, just as much as anybody else's, to say that mental health matters and we need to take a serious look at it, even if it's
So,
within ourselves. Take the 2 years off, stop doing the music because it might be toxic to your life. That might be the element that's killing you. You love it so much, you'll let it kill you, though. That's something
mm,
my mama taught me. Don't love something so much you let it kill you. And so music is that same thing. You will love it so much, you will allow it to mentally, emotionally, and physically deprive you of your health. And it's necessary to take those times to analyze that, adhere to it, and take those breaks.
Okay. I can dig it. I can dig it. That's a great dialogue. I can dig it. So you as a black man, man, and with navigating on American soil, I just want to know why have it been in the black culture and in the black community when a a black woman tells you or a white woman tells you or just a woman in general, like that's a very serious issue. I think that you should go talk to somebody. If you don't feel comfortable, I'll come with you. I'll come with you as a friend, or I'll come with you as your wife, or I'll just come with you just to be that moral support that you need. And I've heard them tell me that it's like he just wouldn't do it. Like he just was like, how can somebody tell me how to live my life? It's not somebody telling you how to live your life. It's somebody on the outside looking in and listening to you from a professional standpoint who have studied, psychology, who have studied communication, who have who have studied, emotional depression, mental depression, spiritually depression, who has who has studied, family depression, and because a lot of people don't know, man, how you grew up, and if you didn't ever let it out or talk about it or go through what we call that healing process, once that carries over into your adulthood, it can end up really, really bad for you as an adult. And so,
Right.
do you think that people should be afraid to talk to professionals, or why do you think black men don't want to go and talk to somebody with a professional opinion?
Well, my opinion of it is there's a stigma attached, and it's not just to the black man; it's to the black household.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the black man is the leader, where his strength is supposed to carry the family, and any sign of weakness allows that family and that structure to be breached and become unstable. We live already in our entire existence through instability, and we survive it. Whereas our home, our center for peace, is supposed to be structured for exactly that, our center for peace.
Mm-hmm.
But the stigma that's raised in that is requirement by our women. Because I've watched my mother growing up do the same thing to my father. Anytime he feels like he was down or depressed, it's not like he could talk about it. If he did, he was judged and criticized. So he felt like there was no way that he would be okay to talk about his problems. It would make him look soft. And that softness that a lot of people are now criticizing today is exactly where they want us to be open. We have to be more vulnerable, be more willing to have these communications and speeches, conversations that are very uncomfortable at times, just to be able to help you out. So as a black man, we don't want to deal with that. We were told as kids, don't talk to the police, don't talk to strangers, don't walk through the store touching nothing, because if you touch something, you're gonna have to sit in the car. So not necessarily segregation, but be careful who you deal with and affiliate with, especially with your personal being. What that curation does as an adult, when we get to these adult ages and we start to deal with our relationships and dealing with friends, we go through our extent of depressions, and they notice. It's very much so noticeable on our faces, on our shoulders and demeanors. We carry it around all day, and it hurts them. So all they want to do is assist, and they want to make sure that whatever we going through, that we know that somebody's there for them. We don't go out on the road and on the limb trying to take our lives and going crazy, or reacting in ways that we don't necessarily need to. But based off of what we've dealt with throughout our entire lifestyle, from birth all the way up through childhood, all the way up through teenage years and high school, getting in trouble, the stigmas, even dudes with 4.5 GPAs and went and got bachelor's and master's degrees. There's at least one point in every black man's life where you were asked a question and were made very uncomfortable, and you'll never want that experience again. So we live with that. It's usually, where you going, boy? Or why you around here? Or where's your parents? Or did you steal something? Or it's something along that caliber that makes us feel very uncomfortable. And so talking
Or
to somebody,
when a father asks you, what what makes you think that you're good enough for my daughter? To me, that's
that
really
part,
offensive.
That part. It even comes from our own parents. What do you think you doing? You not old enough to do that. Go sit down, stay in a child's place. And I always battle with that question. What exactly is a child's place?
Mm.
I'm not free to be in a human being, let alone being seen as an equal in my own household growing up. So now as a father, I'm supposed to treat my children the same way. You know what I mean? Nah, we breaking that generational curse. You want
Mm.
something you got something to say, come and holler at me. You feel like
Right.
I'm messing up? Tell me. That's the only way I'm gonna learn and be a better father for you. You know what I mean? That's the only way you're gonna be able to see that your father has your back in more ways than one. And that generational curse is deep. Like it's real deep. It affects a lot more households than just my own, even in the smallest manners. You know what I mean? And so by hearing a lot of people, a lot more of the women, and I would say the black man side, say that mental health is not really helpful for us, or it won't help us because we don't take the chance. It's not the fact that we won't take the chance, it's the fact that we're not comfortable. Every aspect of our life, we live in discomfort for one
You know,
thing, one element.
you're right. You're right. And I heard somebody say, uh, a dude, he's like 7 years old. He said we wasn't able to be in tune with our emotions, Jacob. I said, what do you mean? You had to work, you had to take care of the family, you had to keep it firm out here because the bricks was already stacked up against you as a black man on American soil. So if I had any type of vulnerability in any type of emotional outpour or emotional cry, we was looked at soft by our women. And so if you can't be vulnerable with your wife, somebody who you spend the rest of your life with, then you can't be vulnerable with society. So we just kept
Correct.
the stone face on. And that's just how it is. And that trickled down to our sons. You know what I
Correct.
mean? So how can you properly love a woman if you can't be vulnerable with them?
Right. And that makes the rest of our situation in existence more compromising to the mental side, because again, here I am in 2022 and I feel exactly the same way. I can't show certain signs of weakness or certain signs of vulnerability, because then it falls on my household, and then it falls on my children, and it falls on my lineage. It falls on the people who've raised me to be strong, the people who told me the ways to try to fix this and figure it out. But at all times, the people who are closest to me hear it the most. I always say, but I'm human. I'm entitled to feel these things. I'm entitled to go through these things. I'm entitled to look crazy at times because I'm human. I have to process this, and holding it back ain't gonna help me. It's gonna kill me.
Mm,
Stress is a biggest killer in a black household. And it ain't high blood pressure, it ain't diabetes, it ain't cancer, it is stress. Because once and in fact all of that befalls on you, you could get all three. You could get diabetes, high blood pressure, and cancer. But the one thing that's gonna kill you is the worry about, is your family okay? Is your kids gonna be okay? Do you have everything you need? Did you settle all your affairs? Did you do all that you wanted to do? Why is life so unfair for you? It's just going to be stress that's going to kill you. And that's the one thing that we have to learn to maintain and manage in the beginning to help ourselves grow throughout life as men, is to manage that stress. Most of us manage it by ignoring it and moving forward. As unhealthy as it is, it's just what we do. So we must be made to feel okay and comfortable to try new things and fail. That's the biggest part. We all have to be okay to try these new things and fail, because our
mm,
failure comes with vulnerability. And what that vulnerability tells us is, if I'm not okay to do this again, I will never do it.
mm. You're right. You're right. And so, this is a very great dialogue because it's very seldom that I talk to a high end artist such as yourself, man, that can really go really deeper than music. And so this enlightens me. I heard Nas say something about 10 years ago. He said, for you radio hosts, for you bloggers, for everybody that interview artists, when you interview an artist, and it may start with music, but when y'all can go to into a whole nother dialogue and you can feel their intellectual presence and they can open up to you about what they see in our community and why they want to change the narrative of the community, then that's a whole different type of artist. So with that being said, there's a whole lot more to Charlie Muscle than people even realize.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've been on this journey again for so many years, and I've seen so much doors open, doors close, windows open, windows close. People come and go. But the one thing that I've remained is true to my purpose, that we need, as not just a black man, but as men, we need to have a place and a feeling of okayness where we can start letting some of this go and get back to living again. You know,
Mm.
it's not many places that we can find refuge for our vulnerability and for our sensitivity, for our mental states. And so to create that through music has been a very big blessing for me. And it's continuing to provide me blessings by opening more doors and bringing more people in, not just to listen to me, but to understand just walking away that it's okay. You know, everything you going through, I've been through it. Everything that you feeling, I probably felt it, but I'm still fighting through it just like you are. So it's okay. It's okay to break down. It's okay to feel like forget the world, forget what I'm going through, forget these people, forget these bills. It's okay. You know, what's not okay is giving up with the thought that you didn't have enough to give you more back. You didn't have a platform to speak about your problems, so that could have saved your life. You didn't have a person you could call on at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're going through your depressive state, so that could have saved your life, which is why you're seeing more hotlines that are 24-hour pop up. You're seeing more people through social media and through the outlets of social media extending that gratitude to even strangers. Hey, I may not know you, I may not have met you a day in my life, but if you need somebody, call me, send me a message, let me know. I'd rather hear your story than attend your funeral. That's been a big transition and change in the world. And I'm glad that I could actually add my small part, whether recognizable or not. I'm glad that I could add my part to it.
Right, right, right. And so with you being able to be vulnerable through your music and show your emotional side through your music to reach a person that's going through stuff. So how does that register with you, after you hear a fan or after you hear a homie or after you hear a family member say, bro, like, man, that was deep, man. Like I I had to listen to that song like 7, 8 times, man, like to really get the full understanding, the full meaning for it. So how does that make you feel as an artist, as a creator of music, when somebody comes and tell you something like that?
It's huge. It is the biggest thing in the world next to my children and my family, because it not only is somebody who took the time to listen to what I had to say, but this is something that I do for me. You know what I mean? When I'm getting in that deep, in that much depth of my music, and I'm talking about my vulnerabilities and my burdens, my depression, my stresses, and I'm guiding people along a storyline with these same problems I live with every day, I'm not only getting the responses of it was so dope, I had to listen to it so much, but it resonated with my issues. It offered me a position to change my mental way of thinking about things. It offered me the thought that somebody else is going through this, so my life's not as bad. Whatever it does is huge for me, because I'm just a dude who's doing this, especially something like that. I'm doing that because I don't have no other way to talk. You know, I've been told all my life I talk too much. So to get in the music and be like, yeah, I talk too much, but this is why I talk too much. I have a lot to say. I have so much that I feel and so much that I want to say, that I can only do it in so much of a time frame and a bar structure. And by doing that, I'm creating not just a musical experience, but a story of myself that people are listening to. It's big as a dude to finally have a way to say that I have some people listening to me. When I spent so many years feeling like the world was silent and didn't hear what I was saying, here it
Hmm.
is these years later and creating so much to where I now feel like the world's got its ears open to whatever I have to say. And I'm glad. I'm very glad to have that platform open and to be able to express that to other artists, no matter the degree and decree of what they do. You have a platform of people who are willing to listen to whatever you have to say, as long as whatever you have to say is beneficial to not only them but yourself. It's got to generate something good for you at the end of the day, no matter what you're talking about. So whatever your fan base may be, whoever you generate your music for, there's always going to be somebody to listen and to create something that rides those lines and opens up them doors to get more listeners. It's a big experience. So to hear that resonates with the people is even more huge for me. Because like I said, I'm just doing this because I felt like all them years there was nobody listening.
Wow. Okay. So now that you have people attention, and now that you see that you have people attention, what do you want them to understand about Charlie Mouff?
Oh, there's so much. I'm layered like an onion. I'm very much so. I go all over the place. The cipher itself was a world opener. It opened the eyes of so many people, and it's been a gratitude to be able to share that still to this day and experience the feelings that I did in 2015. I'm still getting new fans who are just as excited then that are excited about it now. You know what I mean? I'm very much so thankful. But from that, I feel like I'm layered. There's so much to me that I've not even gotten past the surface yet. And the journey that I'm creating right now in this moment, just to be able to get that experience off, get this thing off the ground and start getting this wheel turning it's gonna be something as far as epic. It's gonna be an epic ride, you know what I mean? And that's all I want people to understand is that I'm quiet, I'm concise, I do my own, I live to myself, do for me and mine. I'm just like everybody else. Put my pants on one leg at a time. But for what I do it well. Just recognize what I do well.
And that you do.
I appreciate that. It's not like I'm shutting the door for anybody who does the same. I'm welcoming them to come in too, but remind yourself a little bit of humility and homage goes a long way. I've had doors shut on me just being the dopest dude in the venue. And that advice, shouts out to Andre Nicotina for that. That's been something that I've been listening to since 2016. Is he came to a bar, I was doing security. He came and talked to me, gave me some advice about what to do in the music industry, how to release my music, market myself. And the one solid piece of advice he had given was, don't be the dopest dude in the venue. They'll never book you again. You get doper than the headliner, that's cool. You rapped in front of a bunch of people, made some new fans. That's cool. But let's see if you get booked for that headliner again. And so I'm out here giving my all, throwing everything I can, my hottest tracks, my dopest bars, compositions, easy breath work, and I'm doing all of this work, but finding that my bookings are dwindling and not knowing why. And it's because I'm not at that caliber to be headliner from what my city perceived. So
that's crazy though. That's crazy. And I'm gonna say this about that, man. Sometimes I'm gonna say I think that the hip hop fans are not the smartest people a lot of times. It's just like if you doper than the headliner, then that mean one thing, Charlie. That means that he didn't perfect his craft as well as you did. That's not your fault. You know what I mean? It's really not. And so that's why I say that the promoters overseas value the U.S. hip hop artists way more than the U.S. promoters value the U.S. hip hop artists. And so a lot of times, man, I tell artists all the time, man, try to make it so you can go overseas. Because that overseas, once you get that buzz over there, they're gonna bring you back every year. No question.
Absolutely.
No
Absolutely.
question.
I've got my passport just for that reason specifically, because I'm ready. You know, I've been ready to go out overseas, do some touring and do some shows and build that fan base. But I also don't want to go out there and set up in the wrong market. You know what I mean? I follow
Uh,
my fan base and my analytics. I'm looking at who's listening to the music and what areas. And that's where the curation comes in. It's building the brand to fit those demographics. What do they like? What do they want to hear? How much merchandise do I have left and that they want to get? You know what I mean? It's all small pieces of a big piece of pie, or the big pie that I'm making, which out of the country touring, like you said, is the best revenue build for an artist, because that is a market that just accepts music for it being music.
yeah,
Whereas here we've got too much egotistical movements. We got too much what do we call that? We have too many people in the politics
yeah,
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
music.
You're right. That's absolutely. And so, and my thing is, I hear a lot of independent artists like, man, oh my God, Mr. Jacob, what am I gonna do? I say, what's your problem, young fella? He's like, man, you just gotta have so much money for this music industry, man. Like, and I was like, well, I mean, that's the new era, but at the same time, man, just stay true to yourself. Keep perfecting
Absolutely.
your craft, and doors will open, man. Doors will open when you least expect it. And then they was like,
Absolutely.
just get so frustrated. I said, that's fine too. I said, man, but talk to your fans. Do
Right.
YouTube videos where you're talking to your fans. Do some of your own dialogues where you're talking to a fan and you bring them on a live, and you you tell them that you appreciate them being a fan, and you play 3 tracks for them and you get them to analyze your track as a fan. I was like,
Absolutely.
that helps you, man. That helps you because they're gonna show their friends that video, and here you go and gain 30 new followers or 30 new listeners. You know what I mean? I was like,
Absolutely.
make sure you see. I don't feel like a lot of artists is in communication with their fans these days, man. I feel they
Yeah.
make the fans hear, man, go live, talk to your fans. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Answer the questions from
Absolutely.
your fans. You know what I mean? So, and that matters to a person that's purchasing your music.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
you are about to have some tour dates, correct?
Yes, I'm looking at taking off sometime in December, and I'm just hitting the West Coast. I'm gonna be taking off going to Oregon and Washington and some California dates as well.
Okay. So do you have any up and coming dates closing out the summer?
Let's see. I got a show coming up in August on August 12th. This is
Mm,
some of my folks from Skylit Music. They're very much so a great collective of artists. That's a group to look out for. They always got some good sounds churning out of there. But Skylit's hosting an event almost every Friday called Uptown Vibes, and they invited me
mm.
to come out and perform for that. So I'll be out there on August 12th, and then I landed Montana 300 in Reno for September the 30th, and I should have some tickets for that soon somewhere. But
That's it.
that'll be one of
That's in
the
Vegas,
shows to
right?
come between. Huh?
I did in Las Vegas,
Yeah. Oh no, Reno.
Reno. Okay,
Yeah, Reno's a little bit further north, so it's about
okay,
2 hours from Sacramento, maybe 6 to 8 hours from Vegas.
okay. Then okay. It's
But
still
we
the West
got that
Coast.
show
Okay,
on September 30th, and then I'll be taking the next following couple months from that to be getting music, money, all of that curated for the tour in December.
okay. Then okay. So, um, what's next for you as far as musically? Um, do you have a new project coming out, or what's next?
I've got a compilation I'm in the process of working and finishing on now. Um, and it's got a lot of local features, a lot of names that actually don't have not necessarily an issue with the Sacramento scene, but have an issue getting the people to hear them further than their own fan base.
So,
But
will you take artists outside of Sacramento? Or no.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, we will. It's more of a situation where I want to try to get people who have minimal or no fan base to pair up with some of us on this project, even just a small amount of promotion that we may have. from some of these people who carry weight on their namesakes. It'll now open that door for the kid who didn't get but 10 views to get more views on his track. You know what I mean? Something to exchange rate for that. But that's in the process and in the works. We got a couple more verses to lay down at the studio. I got a couple singles I'm working on that's ready for release, a few videos that are ready to go. There's a project called Something Smalls coming very soon. I'm still trying to tune up the last of that, get that mixed and mastered. About 7-8 EPs with other artists and producers that I've done as far as collaborations. We get those two up and finished. And then I'm working on my I'm sorry?
You be working.
I'm man, I definitely do. I definitely do. Aside from those, I've got 2 other albums that I'm trying to put together and get done. One is the continuation of the Guillotine Code that recently dropped. And then another, I just got a couple beats from one of my producer friends as well. We're finna get something curated nicely. Haven't coming up with a name or concept or nothing with that one. That was the most fresh. But I'm definitely keeping my hands full.
Right. Are you all the way independent or no?
Yes. Yeah, no contract, no label signing. I got a few distributions hanging around with a few folks that I know personally, and then one with DistroKid CD Baby. But I do all of this between me and 3 other people. The muscle movement that a lot of people have seen supporting and surrounding my name is myself and 3 others. So, you know. So
what would it take for a label to be in the Charlie Muscle business?
To be honest, they would have to come with more integrity than they have money.
Okay then. Okay.
And I don't know how many labels still operate like that.
But man, that's deep, bro.
I'm seeing a lot of people fall on that 360 deal stuff just because the labels look good. You know, everything's flexing well. The numbers look right. This artist is doing well.
But these artists do well, but they don't have the brand or the name that you have out there in the industry, bro.
Absolutely.
If once a label can pull back up a video or using a backpack cipher, that's like that's a whole nother story, man. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's like a whole nother story because a lot of artists don't get grace with their presence to be in that type of aura or that type of arena when it comes to the hip hop culture. And so with that being said, I personally believe, man, that a label will offer you something that's not gonna steer you away. You know what I mean?
That's the hope. That's the hope, and of course, that's the goal and the dream. But
it's gonna happen. It happens. It happens, bro. It happens. Just stay true to your craft and keep doing what you're doing, and it'll happen for you. And another thing, do you have your own label as well?
No, actually, I'm creating my own label in the moment. It's supposed to be surrounded behind my own brand that supports the Muscle Movement Entertainment. It'll be more so my namesake of how we're going to throw a lot more of the shows that I want to do, the bookings, as far as my tours, as who's going to handle all the paperwork for all of that. That'll be Muscle Movement Entertainment. So at the moment, there's a way people can contact Muscle Movement Entertainment's website or email and send that over to my manager, and he'll take that and get everything facilitated as best as possible.
Okay, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. So, we about out of time. So, for people who want to get up with you, want to follow your movement, want to know what you're doing, may want to feature, may just want to rap with you about connecting with them down south or on the East Coast, and just do the West Coast, East Coast, or West Coast down south connection. Like, how would they get in contact with you?
The best method of getting in contact with me, they can send me a message on Instagram. My IG handle is @official_Charlie Muscle. And that should send you directly to my DMs. Of course, everybody know IG works on the phone, so that's my personal line that I'll make sure I get right back to you as soon as possible. Facebook, I'm always gracing back and forth between the two platforms to kind of keep my fan base going. So if Facebook's more of a comfort zone.
It's still Charlie Muscle on Facebook?
It is Charlie Muscle on Facebook, yes.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
that if they want, platforms, they kind of do different algorithms. But if they want to feel more comfortable to contact me there, they can do so as well. I also have my email address, bookcharliemuscle@gmail.com. And then
Okay.
if there's any other platforms, any way they want to find music, best way to do that would be to hit Google, type in Charlie Muscle. Everything will pop up from the top to the bottom. You'll see where you need to go. You play favorite platforms, YouTube
You're
videos.
definitely right about that.
So,
Everything pop
yeah.
up. You're right about that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. So, man, I just
Yes,
want to
sir.
thank you for coming on the Big Mouth Media podcast, man. It's been such a great dialogue, man, and I will definitely get the YouTube link over to your people as well. You know what I mean? And because it's streamed live on Facebook and YouTube, and I definitely send you a request on Facebook, man, so we can stay connected, man. Because I got a few people.
Absolutely.
I got a few people on the East Coast I want to hook you up with as well, bro. For
Okay.
sure.
Okay. Well,
For
that'd
sure.
be lovely, man. I really
Yeah.
appreciate you having me. It's been a fucking great time. It's been a great time. Thank you again for having me on your platform.
Yeah, man. So I would definitely like to bring you back in about 6 months to really see where you're at in your career and chop it up with you, man. And man, we just go from there, man. And I appreciate you coming on. You have a safe one. Be blessed. Man, always stay encouraged, man, and keep that intellectual presence where you have it, because it's definitely at an all-time high. I appreciate you coming through, man.
Hey, man, no problem. Absolutely. I'll hear from you very soon.
All right, peace.
Peace. Thank you.